My name is Namlu, and this is my final exam presentation for Graphical User Interface Development Spring 2023. Today we'll be talking about GUI design. Now, GUI design is a process of making an interface that's both visually appealing to the user and easy to understand. This can be utilized in games, applications, websites, and many other programs or electronics. Now, why is it important? Well, a good GUI helps keep the user engaged. It keeps them using the app, doesn't drive them away, while also attracting new customers and users. There are many modern features GUI developers can use. There's 3D designs, which help the application stand out. There's also custom animations and typography to help make the application website look lively and unique, which is commonly seen in video games. And we also have user customization, which allows the user to personalize the UI to their own taste. Some of the most common that I've seen are light and dark modes. If you want to make a good UI, you need to prototype, otherwise it might clash with the user experience, such as making information unclear to the user. There are several prototyping options. There's InVision Studio, which allows for various animations and dynamic elements to be added to the UI. Sketch, which allows for universal changes throughout the prototype while also supporting numerous third-party plugins, so the possibilities are near endless. And there's Proto.io, something we used earlier in the semester, which is primarily used for mockups. Now, making UI, there are plenty of programming options that you can use. There's Vue, a JavaScript-based framework that allows users to program visual elements to components like classes in a normal Java program. There's also PyQt5, which is based on Python. It's sort of like Visual Basic, in which you can drag and drop elements into the designer, and you can add code to make those elements unique. So like adding variables or determining what happens when you click this button. And there's Angular, which is similar to Vue, except it's based on TypeScript and allows for templates to be used. There are several practices that GUI designers should use. First is a large font so that all the information can be read easily, even if you're using a small device. And speaking of small devices, there's also cross-platform support, which essentially means that you have to design your UI to be useful across many different platforms, from smartphones to tablets, consoles, and PCs. A common practice I've seen is minimalization, which is essentially making it look simple and clean so as to not overwhelm the user. You should also work in making your UI inclusive, meaning that you should take into account certain disabilities. Perhaps adding audio cues, though that might be attributed to user experience. But the most important thing is to understand your consumers, understand your market so that you know how to design your UI appropriately. Now, let's talk about a case study. Nintendo Switch home menu. It's very minimalistic compared to the previous consoles like the Wii, Wii U, and 3DS, but it works very well, and I've personally enjoyed it. First, all of your recently played games appear first when you boot up the console. Every other game appears when you click the All Software button. Then, when you go into the system settings, everything's split into categories with simple lines. So, at the top, we have your connection settings like Bluetooth and AirPlay mode. Then we have your personal settings, such as Mii's, your in-game avatars, internet, and parental controls, then we have your console settings, which includes screen brightness, themes, sleep mode, notifications, and then we have your controller and hardware settings, so TV settings, controllers, and the overall system. A common complaint back when the Switch first launched is that there were no software folders at launch, meaning that you couldn't group games by series, genre, developers. Ultimately, that was then patched in about a year ago, allowing you to group games together. Now, here's something I enjoy: Nier Automata. While I haven't personally played the game myself, I've seen many people talk about the story and overall UI design. Simply put, this is a case of diegetic UI, an interface that exists within the narrative of the story. Here, you play as Android, so the game menu and HUD are part of your character's OS. Both menus and HUD are minimalistic with a monochrome color scheme, which fits perfectly with the game's tone while also not distracting from the overall gameplay and combat. And as a little bonus, you can even remove certain HUD elements so that you can equip certain upgrades. So you could potentially remove the enemy HP display for more attack, which I find to be very interesting. If you do plan on playing this game, pro tip, don't remove the OS chip. In conclusion, GUI needs to be visually appealing to keep the users engaged while also attracting other users. Modern GUI features include animations, 3D objects, user customization. Prototyping is necessary to build a good UI, and there are many programming and prototyping options for you to try out your UI. My final thoughts: GUI design has near limitless potential. It can be used to entice new customers or as a storytelling tool. As someone on the game's programming course, making a menu easy to navigate and understand, while making it look unique and feel like it belongs in the narrative of the game feels very important to me. But as I'm not much of a story writer myself, or much of an artist, this is something I might need help with. But most importantly, it works. It has to work with the user experience so that it's both enjoyable and efficient. These two things have to work together in order to help bring that potential to life. Here are all my references, and that's the end. Thank you for watching.